I was here last month, and right in these seats there was a woman with a basket of kittens. And I had to tell a story that involved like some animal stuff, and there were kittens right there. So this is going to be different. In my opinion, the best part of parenting is when your kids are about 30. I look back in the rearview mirror of my life, and I see in the back seat my two sons fighting, arguing. Are we there yet? And I also see lots of cash going from the front seat all the way to the back. But now it's different. We no longer are responsible for the sexual angst of our teenage sons. Let me explain. Our older son, Drew, was 17. And one day we come home and he and his girlfriend, Susie, are sitting on the couch. And they said, Mom and Dad, we need you to sit down. My wife, Cindy, and I look at each other thinking, oh shit, she's pregnant. Instead, they sit us down and they go like this. You go first. No, you go first. You go first. Finally, Drew clears his throat and says, Mom and Dad, we want to make love, but we want to have your permission before we do it. I don't know what planet I was on, but if it's still around, I want to visit it. So we, of course, said yes, and she got protection from her doctor, and everything worked out well. Until New Year's Eve of that year. Now, I have to explain something. My wife, although we're retired, my wife is a busy, busy, busy woman. She teaches classes. She takes classes. She volunteers. She teaches or tells stories for the radio reading service. And she's on committees, and she has a pet care business. Although those kittens weren't part of it, by the way. So, this New Year's Eve, we come in, and because my wife is so busy, 10 o'clock is way past her bedtime. So we come in about 10:30, and I park the car, and as I'm in there, I notice when I walk in, Drew, my son, is there in a bath towel, and my wife is there in front of his room, and I hear a young woman's voice behind the door, and he says to Cindy, who the hell comes home at 10:30 on New Year's Eve? And she said, it's my house, damn it, and I can come home whenever I want. And then there's my other son, Greg. They're 4.5 years apart. Greg was speech delayed. At 3 years old, he would say stuff like, I had no idea what he was saying. But my wife would go, oh, Greggy, you want to go to the bathroom? I finally heard his first words that I understood when he was about 4. He said, I want to be a famous actor. Let me translate that. I want to be a famous actor. Now, before we go into all that, let me tell you, Greg had a little bit of trouble with the truth. One day we come home and we had a tan foundation on our house, and there's a black streak, and next to it is a black toy gun. Let's call it the smoking gun. Come home, Greg, what's that? I don't know. It must have been there forever. You guys must have done it. Greg, first of all, you do have a smoking gun. It's black and it's painted, and so was the wall. I said, I'm going to give you one chance here. Now, you tell the truth, and maybe we can be okay. If not, you could be grounded. He said, you guys just forgot. It must have been you. And about a month later, he finally came out of his room. But there's more. There's so much more to Greg. We wanted to support him in his move to be a famous actor. So we lived in Cincinnati, and we sent him to the School for Creative and Performing Arts. SCPA is an over-the-Rhine in Cincinnati. It had a higher murder rate per capita than South Central LA. It was a tough neighborhood. The school was like a fortress. A Category 5 hurricane could come down and over the Rhine, dropping barrels and barrels of beer, Bohemian beer, all over the Rhine. That school would be the only building left standing. It was a fortress. And it had some famous graduates. Oh, let's see. I forget her name, though. I forget all the famous people. Although one person in Greg's class is now a writer for The Tonight Show. So there were some famous people. Greg excelled at that school. By his senior year, he was president of the National Honor Society, in the top 10, and the lead actor in every play. One Saturday night, though, he comes home at 10:30. This is a kid who stretched his curfew whenever he could. I said, Greg, why are you home so early? Well, my girlfriend got sick, so I took her home. I thought, what the heck, I'll just come home. Right. I get a call Monday morning. Mr. Fink, this is Mr. Adams. I'm the principal of SCPA. Your son is in very serious trouble. He was caught by the Cincinnati police breaking into the school and making love in the Black Box Theater with his girlfriend. Holy shit. Well, I needed to find out more. Here's what really happened. The two kids, this is when you're a teenager and your teenage hormones meet that vast vacancy inside your brain. These kids go around the school, they see a window that's kind of a little bit open, they creak it open and slither in like a couple of snakes. And then they do the down and dirty, the Black Box Theater. What these idiots didn't realize, it's in a bad neighborhood. That school is directly connected to the police, and they were there lickety-split. So, I had to make the toughest phone call of my life. I had to call my wife. Now, she was an administrator at the University of Cincinnati. She was a dean. So, she had a nice office, which came in handy, because I told her Greg's Saturday Night Fever story. And she started crying. Where did we go wrong? Oh, I have to leave, I have to leave. That's because she had a bathroom in the office. And she told me later, she was over the commode going, where did we go wrong? That next day, we're in the principal's office. Not the first time for me, by the way, either. We're in the principal's office, and sitting across from us is the principal, the head of security for Cincinnati Public Schools, and the vice principal. What a great title for a story like this. Vice principal. They sit us down, and the principal says, Mr. and Mrs. Fink, Greg, you are in very serious trouble. The consequences is you could be expelled. You could be sent to an alternative school. Or, we're going to give you one chance. If you come clean, we'll go light on you. Don't forget that foundation, that black paint on the foundation. So we look at Greg. The guy says, this is your opportunity. What's it going to be? Greg thinks, your fault. You had the window open. We just snuck in. I asked the authorities to please be excused while we have a word, as in the word, with my son. I said, Greg, you're an idiot. These folks are giving you a break. You could be expelled. You could go to that alternative school. All they want you to do is basically tell the truth. By the way, Greg told me when he first got into SCPA that an actor's job is to tell the truth. That was the last time he told the truth until he was about 22. So I said, Greg, it's all up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to say because this is your life. You have a full ride scholarship to a conservatory that you want to really go to. So what's it going to be? It's up to you. You go in there and you better set it straight. We go back in. Principal again says, so Greg, tell me now, what's it going to be? Greg looks at us, looks across the room, then looks at my wife and says, it's your fault. You left the window open. Greg spent the rest of the school year in the alternative school, which was in the second worst neighborhood in Cincinnati. It was so tough, the kids weren't allowed to wear the color red because it's a gang color. But Greg flourished there too. He made lots of friends. And by graduation time, he had been the president of the National Honor Society chapter, gone. Top 10 in his class, gone. He was the last kid to walk in line at graduation. But let me update you. Well, Greg was at school, and he was in a professional show, I think it was called St. Joan. A professional actor said, kid, with your look, he looks young. By the way, I'm almost 70, so I can tell you he looks young. He said, with your look, you got to go out to Hollywood. So Greg has been in Hollywood since 2011. When he first got there, he got a commercial for GoDaddy, and it was in the 2012 Super Bowl. We thought, man, this kid's on the way. Well, since then, he's had maybe 5 or 6 commercials. He's in an improv group. He's actually a struggling Uber driver /actor. But he's working his butt off. He's self-sufficient. He knows we're no longer his bail bondsman, so life is good. What else? Oh, that principal at SCPA, the following year, he was arrested and convicted for having sex with the high school junior. That building is now a condo. That hurricane came storming through over the Rhine. It's called gentrification. It's now that building is condos. In its path were fancy local eateries and breweries. The neighborhood has changed. Oh, and Drew. Drew is now a internet advisor. He's a technical advisor on IT stuff. And last December, he and his lovely wife, Andrea, blessed us with our very first grandbaby, Louise Ann. Life is good for that. Oh, and Greg? Well, I told you that he's still working his tail off, hoping to be that famous actor. But this is not a story about two kids that are radically different. This is a story about me looking in that rearview mirror now and seeing those two young boys grow into be adult, responsible, really good men. They just took incredible, wildly different routes to get there. Thank you.